This is the High Impact Leadership Podcast.
Bringing vision into action.
Josh Veneta is a leadership and business growth coach.
I decided that I wanted to have a bigger impact.
Fueled by helping individuals and organizations thrive.
Engaged with a new passion.
Josh is a proven business leader.
To help others succeed.
Over 15 years experience in helping organizations put vision into action.
Where we provide tools and wisdom that help leaders and their organizations to thrive.
Strategy. Consistent execution. Leadership.
That's what coaching actually is. It's an unlocking of what's already there.
This is the High Impact Leadership Podcast.
Welcome to High Impact, a podcast for leaders. My name is Josh Veneta, your host and leadership and business growth coach. I have always been curious about how things work and finding ways to help them get better. This dates back to my childhood when I would pepper adults with questions, trying to gain understanding and then using that knowledge to help improve what was currently in place. This curiosity and desire for growth has resulted in a professional career in which I've sought out organizations in need of better systems, stronger leadership teams, and proven tools to help them unlock their latent potential. Starting my career in sales, I learned many valuable lessons, including the foundation of relationships, truly gaining an understanding of my clients' needs, and explaining how my solution could meet those needs. The value of organized work, the reward for persistence, and how to negotiate so that everyone wins. As my sales career progressed, I felt an increasing desire to help others win, more clients, my fellow sales associates, and the entire sales department and organization to which I belonged. This desire resulted in me taking the responsibility of sales manager and ultimately general sales manager. Here I felt the weight of helping something larger than myself continue to grow and thrive. I learned the importance of emotional intelligence for leaders as they learn how to know their individual team members, how to form relationships, and how to coach to team members' fullest potential. I learned that the best way to get what I wanted was, as Zig Ziglar reminds us, to help others get what they want. I also became aware of the value of simplicity during this stage of my career. A leader's primary responsibility is to distill the difficult down to the simple, to help a salesperson understand that in order to sell a certain number of units, they don't need to focus on that number of units. They need to focus on the input of how many prospective clients they should speak with in order to achieve that goal. It's about bringing facts to speculation, confusion, and disorder. Much of what leaders do, in fact, is to serve as the non-anxious presence, standing confidently in the presence of anxiety and uncertainty. I've watched so many leaders with incredible technical gifts, yet little emotional intelligence, fail. Yet I've watched leaders with significantly less technical knowledge, yet far greater emotional intelligence, grow and thrive. During this time in my career, I realized that I needed help if I wanted to continue to grow and thrive. Someone who could provide me with tools, real-world experience, and accountability. A coach happened to be passing through our dealership around this time, and I hired him to work with me. What followed was a great season of growth and maturity for me, in which my coach helped me to identify blind spots in my own life and leadership, and challenged me to live into the fullness of my gifts. I'm confident that this was a Kairos moment in my life. Having a trusted advisor who not only had experience, but tools to foster my growth was in fact one of the greatest gifts I've ever given myself. What I learned during this season took root, and I have carried it with me over the course of the past decade and a half. One of the most unique and enjoyable opportunities of my career was to manage one of the country's oldest motorsports venues. This blended my passion for racing with my love for business. It was here that I continued to use the tools and lessons learned from time with my coach. I implemented tools made for cash management, strategic planning, executing the strategic plan, and helping to develop strong leadership team. These tools brought incredible focus and consistency to my work. They helped us to grow our top line, garner national media attention, and receive the Best Short Track Event of the Year award for one of our events. During this time, I learned what it means to lead an organization during a period of pivot. Previously, the track was running only 25 events per year, but in this new business model, the track would expand its operations to 250 plus events annually. In a period of explosive growth like that, I learned how important it was to monitor and measure cash flow, to lead through change, and to execute a strategic plan. I had the perfect opportunity to battle test tools and gain real-world experience with those tools. This period of intense learning continued as I transitioned back into automotive retail. As a platform manager, I was overseeing multiple departments and franchises, bearing the responsibility over the profit and loss statement. While much could be said about leading a business during a global pandemic, I'd summarize this time by saying that COVID reinforced, actually, it strengthened my deepest held convictions about how to run an organization. None of us could control how the pandemic was impacting our lives or even our businesses, but we did have choices on how we could respond to the way we were being impacted. It reminded us of the lessons that I learned in my first leadership position about how leader serves as a non-anxious presence and finds ways to simplify the business as much as possible. It called into question the myriad of metrics we were managing and allowed us to focus only on those that were most essential. It demonstrated that what gets our focused attention delivers results. It reminded us that organizations are nothing without strong leadership and top to bottom alignment. It reminded us that culture not only matters, it's everything. It reminded us that cash truly is king, and its surplus can weather the rainiest of days and enable explosive growth when opportunity presents itself. It reminded us that leadership requires exceeding humanity, as Pat Lencioni says, and radical candor, as Kim Scott reminds us. Once again, it battle-tested frameworks and tools, strengthening my own convictions in the process that my coach and now friend had taught me years ago. And so on the other side of COVID, I decided that I wanted my leadership to have a greater impact. I wanted to be able to share all of these tools, insights, and lessons that I learned from mistakes I made with other business leaders to help them realize their untapped potential. And as they realize that potential, enable them to change the lives of their employees, to pour into their local communities, and inspire real change in our world. I believe strongly that businesses are uniquely positioned economically and socially to have a profound impact on the world. Therefore, I left my comfortable job and stepped out to serve as a business and leadership growth coach. I want to allow others the opportunity to learn from my experience, particularly my mistakes, to be armed with tools that foster real progress and growth, and help leaders achieve what they're capable of. I want to share a personal story with you from a few years ago. I was getting ready for my annual physical, and I was curious to see how much I weighed in advance so I wouldn't be shocked when the nurse told me. Maybe you can relate. I'm glad I weighed myself in advance, because even though I knew the answer, I was still shocked when the nurse told me. I had put on 40 pounds in what seemed like the blink of an eye. I decided that this wasn't acceptable. And while I had no physical problems, I could no longer do this. I also knew that since I wasn't sure how I got here, it seemed unlikely that I could figure out how to fix it. I hired a personal trainer. He came in and asked what my goals were and helped me to reshape them when they weren't very specific. He challenged them when they seemed cautious. He provided data that helped me understand where I put the weight on. He helped me to regularly track the quantity and quality of my calories. He provided proven workouts that helped me to exchange fat for muscle He checked in regularly, providing me with encouragement and the accountability I needed to achieve my goals. He was my coach. And so there is a great misnomer out there that only the people who are failing need coaches. Well, I wasn't physically failing, but I did know there was a better way and that I could be more physically fit. I sought out someone who had real-world experience, proven tools, and who could help keep me honest in pursuit of my future desired outcome. This is what leadership and business growth coaches like I do. I started my coaching business because I don't believe that our hopes are made to disappoint. I believe that human beings are made to thrive. Our organizations are capable of growing beyond our highest hopes and adding value to the world. And I believe that we are all smarter together. You are made to make an impact, a high impact. Welcome to our podcast, leaders. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on social media and recommend it to other high impact leaders.